Uniforms folded, flag hangs on the wall. Traded steel and thunder for silence in the hall. The mission's over, the deployment's done, they said. But the war inside my head, it hasn't left instead. Disappeared. The invisible wounds are the ones that are truly feared. I'm walking on a wire, the pressure's coming down. Is there anyone listening in this lonely town? Full speed ahead after battle.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to another episode of Full Speed Ahead After Battle here on Military Broadcast Radio, where we give a voice to the veterans. March 30th, it's the end of the month, coming to the end of the month. We got one more day. So what does that mean for the end of the month? Well, it's Irish American History Month. For those that you don't know, if you've been living under stone. No, it's not just St. Paddy's Day on the 17th. There's actually a full month of it. And why do we do that? Well, because the Irish, like they do, have built so many things within America. If you talk about the Sullivan brothers that went down on the USS Juno in Guadalcanal, they have a ship named after them, the Sullivans, and the reason why family members are no longer allowed to serve on the same ship because of that. Then you got the Fighting 69th Irish Infantry back in the Civil War, not to mention, like the course of history has shown, the Irish took many jobs in America that most people did not want, and they took them and they did them better than anybody could have ever done. Most of the signs that were up when they came over was Irish need not apply, like I'm sure we've heard of many other ethnic groups or other groups in history. Irish people have always been strong people going way back. And I tell you that, if you haven't noticed, I've talked about it on several shows. I come from an Irish background as well. No, I'm not from Ireland. However, our family has traveled over there and through Scotland and that whole area. And they have done the research and traced our bloodline all the way back. So, like many people do, and like they say, especially on St. Paddy's Day, there's about 8 million or 8 billion people that wish they were Irish at one day, but there are many thousands of Irish around the world. So as we come to a close on Irish history or Irish American History Month, let's remember those people that not only built the military and helped out throughout the years, they've built this country. They did so much work around this country throughout its history, whether it's in policing, firefighting, building roads, anything else that they do. What else is going on end of the month? A whole lot of work the last couple of weeks. I know y'all have been following along. I've been telling you the new career that I have is definitely taking off, keeping me busy. And I tell you what, talking with my wife the other night over a meal, ever since I started this job, it's more of a passion than a job to me. I worked 10 years in corporate America, and that never fulfilled me like this job has. Not only am I more, I wouldn't say tired by the end of the day, but I feel accomplished at the end of the day working with animals all day, every day. Yeah, some of it's a little bit dirty, but so is that's what comes with having animals. Same with having kids. You got to clean up after them as well, right? But it's definitely helped with everything from anxiety to mental health to blood pressure to just overall health. Statistics do show that working with animals does relieve some of that tension, some of that blood pressure, and affects your cortisol and everything else. So it's definitely a good thing coming about. Good things coming up are came in and started building a volunteer program from scratch, which is a big thing for a shelter like that. We rely heavily on our volunteers, and we've got a good group of people standing up. So that's great. Coming up, as I've been saying, in just a few weeks, is the Battle Buddy Throwdown, hosted by District 21 of the VFW here in Texas, North Texas. It's a tournament to raise awareness around veteran suicide and mental health. All proceeds are going to the local DFW Irreverent Warriors chapter. We've got the band Last Call coming out. They'll be playing in music from 12 to 2. Registration starts at 9. Bags fly at 10. We've got Dr. Odom, chiropractor, coming out with his staff. They'll be doing pressure point or trigger point massages for anybody that wants to come. MBR will be set up there, as well as should have the Texas Veterans Commission out there. So for those of you looking more information on your benefits or looking for a job with the state or just in the area, there'll be a great asset to talk to. So make sure you come check that out. And we'll be rolling into April. So coming up, April Fool's Day is this week. We got Easter, everything that comes in April. And so it's going to be an interesting month going ahead. Rolling right into spring. It seems just like yesterday. We hit winter. Now we're in 90-degree weather here in Texas. And so we did not get much of a spring. It just rolled straight into summer, backtracked to a couple of winter days, and skipped right on through spring. So with that, we've got a great guest tonight. She is a Gold Star mom, and we'll explain a little bit about that before for those of y'all that don't know what Gold Star mothers are. She's an author, and she's got her hands in a couple of different projects that we'll explain more about. But like many of us, she gets into this kind of work because she saw a need for it, something she struggled with, something she went through, her experiences. And like a lot of our veterans do, we turn it around into a passion of ours so that we can help those so that they don't have to struggle like we did. But before we get to her, we're going to put out those numbers we put out every single week because until that number becomes zero, it's definitely something that we need to talk about. And we are going to talk about that tonight because our guest has a strong story about that. But the number has always been in everybody's mind. 22 veterans commit suicide every day. However, you factor in law enforcement, first responders, civilian world, that number rises to over 30 a day. With the recent suicide veterans statistics that were put out up through 2023 by the VA, that number has dropped down to 17.5 in the veteran community, that is. And so we're looking at, overall suicides from anywhere from 17 to over 30 a day. That means highly possible within the hour of the show that one person, one veteran, will commit suicide. And so we bring this discussion up because we talk about it every week, because hopefully it's this one story here, this one guest, this one message that one of those veterans see or anybody sees to remind them that they're not in this battle alone. While you went through, just like when you went through boot camp, just like you went on a ship or to war or whatever the case may be when you served, you have people to the left and right of you, front and back of you. Everybody's got your six, and it's still the same. The battle looks different, but you still got your group of people, whether it's your family, your friends, your coworkers. Somebody's out there willing to help you out. You just got to reach out and ask for it. But here in North Texas, or in Texas alone, almost 1.6 million veterans in the state of Texas alone. That's more veterans than any other state has. So Texas leads the way in supplying our veterans. And why not? Because Texas is a proud country. Used to be a country. We still consider it a country most times. But Here in North Texas alone, the DFW area, we are the third largest area out of the state of Texas for our veterans. And when you start talking about that, that means a larger population of veterans committing suicide within our area alone. And a lot of that is directly related to that transition from service to civilian life, because not everybody comes out with a game plan. A lot of people struggle coming out of service. Some of them don't even make it out of service. But that's why we talk about that, is to help them with that transition, whether it be resume writing, skills translation, whatever the case may be. That transition is one of the highest reasons for suicide. One of the other top reasons is not getting that VA healthcare, not getting signed up for that. The VFW is working on that right now to be able to work at a VFW post close to most major bases to help you get signed up through the VA to get your benefits, your medical, your health care, and everything going before you even get out of service. And that is going to be a huge deal once that is rolled out across the country, because every veteran needs to be signed up within the VA before they even get out. Because not only does that help you, that helps your family as well. No matter what percentage rating you get, your family can use that medical, that dental, whatever the case may be with it. You don't have to go to the VA. You can go through the community healthcare. It's not always just a VA now, and everybody seeks that. But then people complain, well, there's other people that need it more than I. No, that's not the case. They've got enough for everybody, and while the doctors are lacking, the benefits is enough for everybody. So don't use the old tired of excuse that it ain't for me. It's for everybody, because 10 years down the road, when those problems get worse, you're going to wish that you had that health care, that dental care, that vision care, everything that comes with the VA. Because that broken foot that you used to have, it could become worse, could affect your entire leg, could affect your entire body. And if you ain't got that in your medical records before you start even going, it's going to be harder to prove down the road. But we'll get in more into that later. Now we're going to come on. We're going to bring in our guest, like I said, Gold Star mother. We're going to hear all about her story. And this week's interview of the week is going to be with Lori Kendall.
The interview of the week is brought to you by Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
Lori, welcome to Full Speed Ahead. How are you doing?
Thank you. I am doing well. I apologize for some lighting, but we'll try to get it worked out here for you.
Oh, everything's looking great. Don't worry about it.
Perfect.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are, where you come from, all that good information.
Sure. So I'm in South Central Pennsylvania, East Coast here. I am, as you said, a Gold Star mom. Became that in the winter of 2024. And I am a mom of 4 kids, and I will always be a mom of 4.
Mm-hmm.
So
I understand that. You're also an author.
I
right?
am. Yes. So
Okay.
I just released my book. It's called Missing Pieces. I wrote took me a year and a half to write the book. It is about my son Cole and I's journey through recruitment process and entering the Coast Guard. And also doubles over as a self-help book for new parents going into the military with their children, because little did I know when he raised his right hand and took that oath, I didn't realize I was kind of standing right there beside him taking that oath too, until we entered the basic training phase, and
Right.
the letters you got home or received home weren't rainbows and butterflies.
Yeah, we all know that. We'll get into the book here in just a little bit, but
Yeah.
when I joined up, my mom was in the Army back before I was born, and my dad was in and out of the Army and the National Guard all my life. But when I told Mom I was going to join the Navy, she said, you might want to talk to your dad and rethink that. And so I called my dad at the time on the phone. So, Dad, Mom's concerned about me joining the Navy. Why? well, she thinks I'm going to go off to war and get killed or something. I don't know. And he's like, do it. Just don't join the army. Don't join the Marines. I was like, well, there you go. And she was furious, right? She, just like every mother, worried about her baby boy going off to war. And this was right after this, about a year after 9/11 happened. So she was really worried about all that. And so she's right there with you. You know, mothers, they don't know what's going to happen. They ship you off and you get that 30-second phone call from boot camp that says, I'm here, I'm alive, I'll talk to you sometime. And so that's how she was introduced into the world of the Navy, right?
Absolutely. And of course, I'm the naive Coast Guard mom that thinks, oh, the Coast Guard doesn't go to war. They don't get into anything dangerous. I'll be fine.
Oh, no. No, they just do all the drug interdictions and drug running off the coast and hurricanes and tornadoes and all that. You know, they're going into those storms that people are running out of.
Right, exactly. And stationed overseas as well. And I asked Cole, would you ever be interested in that? He said, I wasn't born on an airplane, so probably not.
Yeah, I hear you. So for those that don't know, let's go ahead. We'll get into the nitty gritty real quick and get deep on the topic. What is a Gold Star mother?
So a Gold Star mom, unfortunately, is they shine the star and present it to you, unfortunately, at your child's funeral. So I lost my son in February of 2024. And that is an award that no parent wants to earn. Unfortunately, Cole was active duty. Still, he had a week left in his Coast Guard contract. And he told us that he was headed back to his apartment by the station. He was stationed in Southern Maryland, so only 3.5 hours away from home. And unfortunately, that week before he was to exit the Coast Guard, he took his own life. And we did not realize it until I got a phone call from my other children asking or telling me, I guess, he didn't report home as expected, which was unusual for him. The frantic phone calls started. I told my other children, I'm a mom, I have this. I will get it figured out. I'm the problem solver. Don't worry about it. Go your evening. They were headed to a neighboring school's basketball game. And my frantic phone calls started. I called his landlord and asked if they had seen him. He was working a side job there in the area, was really connected with that family there. And unfortunately, I had to make that phone call, or a Facebook message, asking them to do a wellness check, that I was headed down that way. But unfortunately, it was going to be another 3.5 hours until I could reach his destination or his location. I had, the mom 360 on the cell phone, could see that he was still at the apartment, thought, he's probably just got held up at the station. He had to sign some exit paperwork, I'm trying to rationalize this situation into my brain, yet still knowing something's wrong. Something in my gut is wrong.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I received the phone call. I happened to be working late at work, and I unfortunately received the phone call that changed my life forever, before I ever exited the parking lot of my community college.
Wow. I'm so sorry to hear that. It's always a struggle when that happens, right? No matter who it is, but especially when you're just a few days away from being out. I can't imagine what he was going through and what the family's going through and all of that. And to not know, what's going on, I'm sure it's tough for anybody, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He struggled a lot making that exit. knowing what the next
Yeah.
step was. They're required to do the TAP program and working
Mhm.
through transition assistance. At that time, it was just required that they do it before they leave. Now
Right.
it's required 365 days before they leave.
Oh, okay.
But yet, I still find that from the individuals that I'm talking with that are active duty transitioning out, uh, some of them still aren't doing it. And so
Yeah.
that transition is 10 times harder.
Yeah.
Um, and obviously after the fact, I'm looking through that TAP information, and I will never forget this question. It said, "What does your life look like for the next 60 years?" I
Mhm.
I have a master's degree, and I don't know what my life looks like tomorrow, let alone the next
I
60
know.
years.
I know. Yeah, I know when I went through back in 2011, there wasn't a whole lot of those questions or that work in there. It was mostly these are the job veteran friendly places like Walmart and Home Depot. Go apply online, or make sure you got your resume ready and get you a nice suit. And there was nothing that I can remember around mental health. Putting a plan together, working, going to the VA and getting that set up or anything like that. So I'm not sure. I still hear stories it's not the best, but I hear it's getting better. But let me ask you this. So after you found that out, and we talk a lot about when a veteran takes their own life, it's not just their life, right? But there are so many people around them that are affected, whether it's family and friends. And so I can't remember the number, but it's like every suicide affects like 20 people because of
Mm.
those people around them. So let me ask you, how did that immediately change the life of your family?
So I will tell you, I'm a little detail oriented, OCD, a
Mhm.
little anal about the details. Me personally, I analyze everything
Mhm.
to a nauseum now. I worked in the medical field for 13 years. I knew all the signs of suicide, and
Mhm.
he wasn't exhibiting any of them.
Yeah.
I think back now in October, he told me, "Hey, I'm seeing a psychiatrist." But at the same time, he was
Mhm.
going through the TAP program. And so I thought the two were correlating.
Right.
And I mean, why wouldn't they be? They're exiting. Why would you not
Right.
do a mental check on individuals
Yeah.
exiting the military where they've been told to do what to do, where to be?
Mhm.
And so I became that person that overanalyzes. My husband
Yeah.
withdrew, um, and me being the fixer, I found myself constantly trying to fix him, and
Mhm.
unfortunately, that wasn't what he needed. He needed space. Him
Right.
as well. Him and Cole's relationship was different than ours. They were best friends. So not only did he
Mhm.
lose his son, but he lost his best friend. They did everything together when Cole was home.
Yeah.
Fish, hunt, the outdoors. They were what became their escape. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, when he lost Cole, he lost that too. And siblings, I honestly I didn't realize until my daughter that is 18 now, but came crying to me and said, "You never told me how he died, and I found out at the
Mhm.
funeral." And
Oh, wow.
I felt horrible. I did not realize that, I missed a step. Um,
Mhm.
and so I think just the overwhelming feelings
Mhm.
of we missed something,
Yeah.
um, could have quite possibly destroyed my marriage.
Right.
Um, because, as much as I want to look at him and say, he gave you warning signs that weekend before. I myself missed them too. So
Mhm.
I don't think anyone's to blame. I just think that we need to give
Right.
each other space and grace and
Mhm.
understand that anyone would have chose differently had we known.
Yeah. I think that's how it goes with a lot of things is it always replays in your mind about, did I miss something? What could I have done? What did, they tell me that I didn't pick up on? And
Mhm.
you end up eating yourself up, right? And you've got to find that way to cope with yourself and with your family and your friends to get over that. But to do that, you need help, right? Just like
Right.
the veterans need the mental help coming out. I think every veteran should be seeing a psychologist
Mhm.
or a therapist on their way out so that they're not running into these sorts of things. But the family needs that help too on what to
Yes.
look for in their veteran when they're coming out. How can we best assist him? So when that happened, did the Coast Guard or the VA or anybody help your family with how to cope with that after the loss?
So this is where I might get a little mad. Um,
Do it.
so of course he was on a 45-day terminal leave. Not one person checked in on
Mhm.
him. Not one
Wow.
person. And when you have such a break in what you've
Mhm.
known for the last he was only in 4 years. He was finishing his
Mhm.
4 years. Um, when you have such a break in what your sense of reality is after even
Mhm.
just 4 years and no one checks in on you, that battle
Mm.
buddy, I I will tell you, active duty, they always talk about the alienation, the loneliness
Mhm.
that veterans, experience. I will tell you right now, and my son said it, and I didn't understand it at the time, the military's not what it used to be. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, I think society is not what it used to be, where everybody was a brotherhood.
Mhm.
That's not the military now. Unfortunately,
Right.
everybody's there for themselves type thing.
Yeah.
And so he had friends at his station, but no one took the time to check in on that 45-day
Right.
terminal leave. And that that started the spiral. I
Yeah.
saw it before that point in time, but I didn't think it would be that bad. Or I figured, okay, we have a week left. I can make it
Mhm.
a week. He can make it
Yeah.
a week. And unfortunately, that week was too much, with
Yeah.
not knowing what his next step was. But
Yeah. 'Cause a lot of people don't realize coming even after like you said, even after 4 years, you're being told what time to wake up, what to wear, what to eat 3 times a day, where to be, what to clean, how to do it, how to
Mhm.
shave. Every single minute of your day, for the most part, is determined for you, and you don't get to question it. So after 4 years of that, and you're coming out and you're like, "Okay, I don't have to wake up at 5 AM in the morning. I can wear shorts or a t-shirt. I get to eat whatever I want." And it's like, it may sound crazy to some people, but that is like a complete 180. And it's like, it's almost too much to handle coming straight out of
Mhm.
there with having all that freedom. Right? It's like
Yeah,
when a lot of people moved out of their parents' house for the first time and went to college, and that's where they start getting into trouble and all this other kind of stuff because they got too much freedom. And it's almost too much for veterans, even though they've come from a structured world. That's a lot for one person to handle.
it is. And I can tell you, I speak to the loneliness and the isolation that even active duty military
Mhm.
are seeing or are feeling, I guess.
Yeah.
I We're losing currently 500 active duty military to suicide on average a year.
Mhm.
Um, in 2024, the Coast Guard is the not probably it is the smallest branch of the military. We
Mhm.
have maybe total 3,000 recruits, at least when Cole went in, and that was 2020 during during the pandemic. So uh, we in 2024 we lost 22 members to
Mhm.
suicide, of the Coast Guard. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, my son started in February, and I tracked the numbers after which, um, and just so that the admiral knew that I knew how many we were losing, I made sure to write a letter or an email to the commandant
Mhm.
every week, for 9 straight months until I was granted a meeting with headquarters,
Right.
because I wanted them to know that I knew, and
Yeah.
that, you know, in 364 days is when they answered. 364 days it took me to get a meeting,
Yeah.
for them to understand what was missing. And you're right, us as parents. I was a first-time military mom, first-time
Mhm.
military family at that point, minus, my father-in-law that was drafted for Vietnam, but we're not given a handbook. We're not
Right.
even given information because to them, they're theirs. And when
Right.
I met with headquarters, they told me, well, we give you all that information during basic training graduation. And I finally had to say, ma'am, we were a COVID company. We didn't have a graduation.
Mm-hmm.
Her response is actually what gave me the title to my book. She said, we missed that. And so I wanted to make sure that I wrote not only our story, but give new parents
Yeah.
every missing piece that
Yeah.
that we had, that we needed, I should say. So
Yeah.
ultimately it's everything that I needed, everything I didn't have, and hopefully everything that new parents moving forward need.
Yeah, absolutely. I know when I graduated, both my parents came up and they didn't have anything like that when I graduated. There was nothing because we were still under that old school military. It's like we don't care about the family and the friends. We just want the one that signed his name. And so
Right.
everything after that. And unfortunately, the way the military is these days, I think they bring a lot of that upon themselves because, they're discharging those that didn't get the COVID shot. They're discharging those that 10 pounds overweight now, or what, there's a lot of different political things going on. It's like we're downsizing, we're upsizing, we're building new ships, we're burying ships, and it's a lot of that is brought on themselves. But I am glad that you mentioned, they're giving that information out now to the families on what to do. And we're going to get into that in just a second, right after these quick messages.
Sure.
Man, I thought we were through with this. Then I watched the evening news. There were folks that still wouldn't stand for the old red, white, and blue. At first it made me fight and mad how they think that that's okay. Then I thought they just don't understand, and given a chance I'd say, have you ever been there when taps was played or for a 21 gun salute? Had to hear the words you never want to hear. Have you ever had to face that truth? When a son or daughter didn't come back home to a family so devoted, then you might not disrespect our flag if you'd ever been handed one folded. Have you seen a heartbroken mother or a father fall to his knees? Been there when a family got the news that your freedom wasn't free? Have you seen a flag draped coffin? If you did, how'd it make you feel to know a soldier died to give you the right to stand or kneel? Most of us are immigrants, proud to call America home. And I'll stand for the red, white, and blue, even if I gotta stand alone. 21 gun salute. I had to hear the words I didn't want to hear. Yeah, I had to face that truth. When a son and daughter didn't come back home to a family so devoted, you never disrespect our flag. If you'd ever been handed one folded, you never disrespect our flag. If you'd ever been handed one folded. One folded.
All right. Welcome back to Full Speed Ahead After Battle. If you're just now tuning in, my guest tonight, Lori Kendall, Gold Star mother, author, and all around lady with her hands in multiple projects over here that we'll get into. But first, let's talk about missing pieces, because you said your veterans are now getting information coming out of boot camp, the families are, on how to help them. So walk us through this book of yours, hitting some of the highlights of the information that they're finally sharing with families so that y'all know a little bit more about what's going on.
Sure. Honestly, because I didn't walk through that information myself, it will be a little different. The book itself is, the first half of the chapter is Cole and I's story, through recruitment to, unfortunately, his death. And the second half of the chapters will be that self-help, what to ask recruiters, so that you're making a full educated decision as to whether to sign your name on that paper. You will also find in the book the resources, where parents can reach out to organizations that offer mental health opportunities, access. One thing that I learned, of course, after my book was launched was about the Brandon Act, and that is giving active duty military access to mental health without question, without penalty. I know, a lot of our military members don't want to ask for help because they're afraid they're going to lose their clearances, and so they don't ask. And I will tell you, the information, when you spot those signs, I talk about Cole's spiraling. I saw it not long after boot camp. He was stationed in Boston. South Central Pennsylvania is countryman folk. So city life was not fitting him well. I spent and traveled many times to Boston, and I talk about that, what it felt like, what it looked like when he was able to get that break, and signs and symptoms that they should look for. Cole didn't have the traditional, he was never diagnosed with depression, to be clear, but he didn't have the normal signs and symptoms. He masked his feelings by laughter and humor, and but also made sure that everybody else was happy, probably because he was constantly sad and no one knew it.
Right.
And so those resources are in that book. And then giving resources to individuals, to moms, to dads, to understand that there can be life after loss. It's going to take you a while to get back, but there is a bridge to hope.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you nailed it, because we always say to check in on your battle buddies and your friends and everything, the ones that seem kind of down and out, that sound like look like they're having a hard time, but it's often the ones that are having the best time of their life they're masking it, right? The guys that are going out and partying and laughing and having fun with their friends is because they're trying to cover up what is actually going on. And I've I know I've done that myself. And so that's definitely signs. So it's really, there is no more, this is what to look for, go check on them, because everybody's different. They were raised different, they serve differently. And so everybody's kind of got different signs now. And that's what makes it a little bit harder to tell on some people.
Yeah, absolutely. I always see the Robin Williams
Mm-hmm.
meme that comes up
Yeah.
of, he was always making sure that everyone else was okay. That was Cole.
Right. Yeah.
He looked out for everyone and helped anyone.
Yeah. So when you're researching for this book or putting together all your information, going through it, what are kind of the one or two top things that families need to be on the lookout for, as far as how to help your veteran coming out, or who to reach out to for the best help in whatever area it may be that you found?
Absolutely. So honestly, I think one thing in particular stuck out as I was traveling down to Cole's apartment. I didn't have any names or phone numbers or anybody that I should
Mhm.
contact. So I often talk about listen more than you speak. I was all the time
Mhm.
trying to justify certain things with Cole. But if I would have just taken the time to listen, I would have picked up on names
Right.
and connected with moms on social media to ensure
Yeah.
that each other were connected. But when they're coming out, help them where they want help.
Mhm.
Pushing them is not always going to work. And Cole
Yeah.
asked me for resume help, so I
Mhm.
obliged. The one thing that he did ask me for that slipped my mind was he wasn't the most tech savvy person, and I know his friends that may be listening are laughing. He he struggled hard when it comes
Yeah.
to technology, but but he asked me to help him with a laptop we had here at our home, and I was busy. I forgot. And so I will kick myself to the day that I pass about not assisting him with that laptop because he just wanted to do some job searching. But lo
Yeah.
and behold, we find out after the fact of his passing that he already had a job lined up, ready to go. He
Mhm.
was just scared of that
Yeah.
next step. And
Yep.
so I put a ton of resources in there. Not only our organization that I started after his passing, but mental health access, different nonprofit organizations. So if you're, in my case, Coast Guard member or active duty military service member, do not want it on their record. There are organizations
Mhm.
in there that they can just talk to. I'm a
Yeah.
huge proponent on mentorship. Um, and so I want to connect as many
Right.
service members as possible to those mentors. I know they get them when they first get into the new stations. Some, in our experience, were better than others.
Yeah.
Some didn't really take it seriously, um,
Mhm.
but it can make a world of difference and make or break someone's career. So
Yeah.
I want to make sure that that mentorship is there.
Yeah, I think, and I've always said this, is just networking in general is huge, whether it's the veteran or the family. It's because you never know who you're connecting with that might have the
Mhm.
answers, or the place to go to, the nonprofit, the VFW, or they know a guy that knows a guy, right? And
Correct.
so, you're not just looking for the help for the veteran, you're looking for the help for yourself and the family and the friends as well, because there's just as many groups out there to help them as there is the veteran, and
Yeah,
they need the
absolutely.
help just as much coming out. So, it's almost like the family again needs that tap class, the same as
Mhm.
the veteran coming out of there. Because, when I got out, I'm a self-proclaimed mama's boy, and everybody knows it. And so growing up, we were like thick as thieves. But coming back 8 years after the Navy, we talked on the phone and emails and packages and stuff, but that relationship is completely different after all that time because you both changed. And so, I didn't open up to her as much as I used to. There's a lot of stories that I hid from what I did in the Navy because, I don't want her to know that kind of stuff or, whatever the case may be. And so you've got to rebuild that relationship with your parents and your siblings and everybody else. And so, again, that's why the families need as much help coming out because everybody's changed by the time that veteran's coming out of the service.
Yes, and I think that's a huge proponent. So my oldest son was married 6 months, I think, before Cole's passing. And at the wedding, I saw it. He was trying to figure out where he fit even in our family unit, and I felt sad for him. I didn't know how to make him understand that his spot was never taken. His spot is still here, and we still
Right.
wanted him part of our family
Yeah.
unit, without, with changes, with not changes, we didn't care. We
Yeah.
wanted him here.
Yeah. Yeah. I know it's difficult. So, but again, you got the book. So, like I said earlier, we do the things that we do because we see a need for it. Either we experienced it, somebody close experienced it. That's why you wrote the book, because you felt the need that people needed that information. But you've also got a nonprofit and another project that you are CEO of. So which one of those do you want to tackle first?
Well, we'll tackle the Reflective Roots project. I call myself the Chief Navigation Officer because truly the individuals that I work with do the work. I just help them navigate the turbulent waters. And I founded that after the loss of my son because I realized my husband and I grieve differently. I can compartmentalize very, very well, and as much as that is a flaw, it's a benefit as well. And so I help couples navigate the grief together or separately. Navigating that relationship after a loss is very different because it changes you. It changes everything about you, changes who you are as a person. It changes what your professional trajectory is. I heard a talk the other day that says, after a tragic loss, you, on a typical basis, stay within your profession for a year and a half and then depart. I can tell you that my professional career struggled. I was professionally heavy on the side of work-life balance because I deemed my success from professional success, and that my husband was different and he didn't understand that. And so being able to help couples be intentional in their choices every day, whether it's intentional communication, intentional space, when someone says, "Hey, I just need space." I can give a prime example. My husband and I, he could not handle physical touch, whereas I needed it. And so I finally had to be intentional and tell him, when you are asking or not telling me that you need space or you can't take me like touching you or hugging you, for me, it feels like rejection. And it is that open communication that allowed us to understand, hey, if you can communicate with me that you need space, then I won't feel rejected. And I'll make the intentional choice to understand and guard your space that you need, as long as you understand that next night, if you can take physical touch, I need reconfirmed that we are okay and that we're going to make it to the next day. And really, honestly, it takes one day at a time, and that's how we're getting it through it.
Yeah. And let's face it, there's nothing in this world that can't be fixed without more and better communication,
Mm.
because communication is the key to everything. And like you said, my wife and I, every couple has their spats, right? And there's those days that they're just, and so my wife, she can calmly and intelligently think about what's going on and deal with her emotions. And, I, on the other hand, want to go out in the garage and throw a couple of tools and, just be by myself for a minute and let it out. And then I'll come back in and talk to you. And so, like you said, you've got to let the other one know that you're not mad at them and you're not pushing them away. You just need time for you to figure out what's going on in your mind and then come back together and talk about it. So,
Absolutely.
communication 100% everywhere you go. So,
Mhm.
so now you've got the Kendall project as
Yes.
well after your son.
Yes, absolutely. So we started the Cole T. Kendall Anchored Navigation Project, and that was intended or started with the intention, one, of carrying Cole's legacy forward. And that is his legacy of helping everyone and anyone wherever they
Mhm.
are and whatever they do. And so, with that being said, I wanted to make sure that individuals are able to, one, access information, whether it be we are grieving as a family, a military
Yeah.
family, um, the loss of another service member, or it's resources or access to components that we didn't, myself and my family did not have. But
Mhm.
also too, I've had parents that they don't realize that they save me just as much as they feel like we save them. But
Mhm.
I had a mom of a service member reach out. It was actually on Cole's birthday, and I didn't want
Mhm.
to leave the couch. But
Yeah.
she called crying that her son was having a mental health issue and needed some assistance. And so it activated me to activate my network.
Mhm.
And so I happened to know somebody that knew somebody on the individual's station. And in doing so, we were able to get that individual to assistance. They ended up in the emergency room at the time and were able to get access to assistance. I've had parents call, ask, what can we do? And I literally tell them, either you're jumping on a plane or I'm jumping on a plane. I don't know
Mhm.
this kiddo, but when you're military, your uniforms aren't
That's right.
they don't define who you are or what branch you, it may define what branch you belong to, but it your family. And
Yeah.
so luckily that parent jumped on a plane and we were able to ensure that individual made it, just one more day and one more time.
Yeah.
um and so we take those calls. I've spent hours on the phones with
Mhm.
service members who are just struggling. They don't understand that gift they're giving me is a connection to my child. And so,
Yeah.
2.5 hours on my bathroom floor, propped up against the bathtub, just talking is a-okay with me, as long
Right.
as they feel better and we're able to get them access to resources that they need. Um, we were able to, over the past holiday, we were able to help uh, service members' family, unfortunately, that was experiencing a life crisis. And their service member unfortunately fell to their internal struggles, much like Cole.
Mhm.
And we were able to help their family during the government shutdown, to when they did not have access to their crisis funds, or casualty funds, I should say, able to get them what they needed: groceries on the table, holiday gifts, because, we have to realize that, when they lose that service member, unfortunately, sometimes they lose that income too.
Yeah.
And so anchored navigation helps everyone. We help veterans or active duty service members transitioning out of the military with resume writing, job skills searches,
Mhm.
interview pointers. The one thing my
Yeah.
son lacked was the understanding of soft skills. He didn't know what they were.
Mhm.
And as a manager, I told him, I would take the soft skills over top of, general knowledge any day. I can teach skills. I
Right.
can't teach soft skills.
Yeah, I think that's one thing a lot of veterans have trouble with is that skills translation coming out,
Mhm.
right? How do you
Mhm.
go from, kicking down doors to translate that into an office setting? But you got to look back and you have to look on, okay, since day one in boot camp, they taught you teamwork, they taught you leadership, attention to detail, and all those sorts of things. And we tend to forget about those because all I did was, pulled security, right?
Right.
Well, you're much more than that one job. There's a lot of different things, like you said, the soft skills, and so I think that's a lot of what people need to realize. But your point that I liked was the networking that you do, and
Mhm.
I think everybody needs to network better because you don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You just got to know where to go to get the information. And
Right.
so if you can connect with other people that have the information, then you can share in that time of need when those veterans need help. And I've gotten calls from veterans or people in other states from Texas. Hey, my veteran's in trouble. Can you talk to them? And I,
Mhm.
like you said, I don't know your name. I don't know who you are, but you wore the uniform. And I would
Right.
rather sit here and talk to you through this instead of having to carry that casket. And so
Absolutely.
it's all about reaching out and connecting with people, and maybe not you or the next person, but somebody somewhere, making sure that they get the help that they need. So thank you for being there for all of them veterans that you're helping
Absolutely.
and doing what you do. So we're coming to the end of the show. I know we could probably go on a lot longer than this, but time limit is time limit. So
Sure.
I'm going to ask of you, like I do of all my guests, give you about 2 minutes on the floor to speak your mind and your heart, your soul, whatever you want to put out into the world. I give you that time now.
Absolutely. And I thank you for that. I thank you for having me on. If I had or could tell anybody anything, it is literally um, I lost my son. I carry a tattoo that shows me how lucky I was to have him for 22 years. I have his thumbprint on my necklace that I carry, and that's what I have left of my son. But if anything, your story isn't over, and you have a new chapter to write. And so, if you need help, need assistance, there are many, many, many resources available, and we're just merely one of those. And so if you ever need anything, it's literally my personal cell phone number on our Facebook page. As scary as that might be, but I never want to miss a call. And so if you are struggling, please understand that there are a multitude of people in your family and in your friends that absolutely love you, and it at times may feel hard, and you struggle with that, knowing that you mean something. But my son's community is forever changed. Family, friends, as well as where he lived. And so you have one more day in you. I know you do. And you definitely have another chapter to write in your life story. And so we want to be able to help you do that.
Lori, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on the show tonight and sharing your story. I know that's definitely something difficult to talk about, but like we mentioned before the show, that's something that we have to talk about to be able to get out in the open and hopefully save more and more veterans out there. So thank you so
Absolutely.
much. Good luck with everything you're doing. And I'm always here if you need that phone call to help somebody.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this evening's episode of Full Speed Ahead. That's going to round out March, like Lori said tonight. Some of the key things: communication and networking. There's nothing that can't be fixed with better communication. If you're going through a hard time, reach out, talk to somebody, even if it's just sit there in peace and quiet. Just knowing you got somebody to sit there with you sometimes helps. Doesn't have to be a family member. It can be a completely random stranger, as long as you're getting that help. You didn't serve alone. You're not in this battle alone. The mission looks different, but the people are still here to help you. So work on that networking. Reach out and ask for help. For the family members, if you need a piece of advice or how to navigate, maybe you lost someone and you need to figure out what to do now, go find Missing Pieces by Lori. She's got some great information in there, some great contacts for nonprofits or other resources to help family members and friends through this tough time. Or check out her websites. I've got those in the comments below. She said, her phone number is on her personal one. That's Lori, M as in Mary, .Kendall. Phone number's on there if you need it. I know she'll be able to help you out. Next week's guest is Linda Hudson. If that name sounds familiar, it's because she's been doing a lot of work with a previous guest of ours, Rex Enriquez. They've got a couple of events coming up. Equine therapy for veterans. It mixes Rex's in-your-face coaching with some equine therapy teaching and Linda's coaching. And so we're going to be talking about those projects next week. Coming up in April, we've got 3 guests booked, Linda being the first one, 2 more after that. And so I'll go ahead and break the news now. With everything going on in life, like veterans do, we have to adapt and overcome. Things change, missions change, and we move on and we figure out how to keep helping them. So after the next 3 shows here in the following 3 weeks, after that, Full Speed Ahead will be sundowning. We will be leaving Military Broadcast Radio, and we will be changing our direction in future projects. I'm still going to be here to help. You still got my phone number, my Facebook. If you need to reach out, I'm still around to help. I'm not leaving that way. We're just sundowning the podcast portion of it. Right now, things are different, and we got to focus on those and focus on different avenues to help the veterans the best way that we can. And that's going to be, for me, for the time being, more local approach with the current role. So sad to see that happen. However, if you're a veteran or someone out there that's looking to get into podcasting or vlogging or whatever you want to call it these days, reach out to Joel and the people here at MBR. They'll be able to they'll be happy to set you up, whether you want to talk about a cooking show, mental health coaching, fantasy sports. We do it all. And so MBR is the place to be to get that done, especially if you want to help veterans. So with that, we're going to end the show next week, same time, same date, same Monday. We'll be here with Linda Hudson. For now, you've got another day in you. You're not in this alone. Reach out and ask for help because you're not fighting this battle alone. Dismissed.
Life is like a duck. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. Here at Military Broadcast Radio, we're teaming up with our friends at Die Tired, the veteran-friendly music band spreading strength, resilience, and mental health awareness, one shirt at a time.
And check this out. Their brand new shirts feature broadcast beaker right on the breast pocket. A reminder that you can weather the storm, and you're never alone.
Shirts are only $25, and proceeds support giving veterans a voice. MBR's mission to teach veterans how to podcast and videocast. Because when our vets are talking, they're not overthinking. They're not second-guessing. Together, we stop the 22 stigma. Grab your shirt today at mbradio.us and hit the shop. Or go directly to toramerch.printavo.com/merch/dietiredband. That's toramerch.printavo.com/merch/dietiredband.
Suit up, stand strong.
Remember, we're unduckable together.
You're built tougher than the storm.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.